So, there I was, 3 a.m., standing in my own kitchen, holding my sister's escape bag. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from sheer ice-cold rage. Because tucked inside, between a worn-out t-shirt and a cheap toothbrush, wasn't a burner phone or a handful of emergency cash. No, it was a receipt from a high-end jeweler, dated 2 days ago, for a $30,000 diamond tennis bracelet. And next to it? A set of first-class plane tickets to the Maldives, for two. Let me tell you how we got here, because this story isn't about an abused woman escaping her husband. It's about how my golden child sister tried to pull off the scam of a lifetime, using me as her safe house. Let's rewind. My sister, Chloe, and I exist on different planets. I'm 32, a project manager, and I live what you'd call a stable life. I pay my bills on time, my apartment is clean, and my biggest thrill is finding a new brand of coffee I like. Chloe, who is 29, is not that. She's the golden child. The one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. While I was studying for finals, she was backpacking through Europe on Dad's credit card. While I was saving for a down payment on a car, she was crashing her brand new convertible and my parents were rushing to buy her a new one, to help with the trauma. She's beautiful, charismatic, and knows how to turn on the waterworks to get exactly what she wants. Our relationship, or what was left of it, officially imploded 2 years ago. She'd married this guy, Mark. He's a tech investor, seriously wealthy, and seemed like a genuinely nice person. I thought, great, now she's set, I'm off the hook. Wrong. About a year into their marriage, she called me asking for $10,000. She had a can't-miss business opportunity to invest in an artisanal goat yoga retreat. I'm not even kidding. I knew Chloe. I knew this was code for a shopping spree in Paris. I calmly told her no. It was the first time in her life I'd ever refused her anything. Well, you would have thought I'd set her winning lottery ticket on fire. She went ballistic. She screamed that I was a bitter, jealous loser who couldn't stand to see her happy. She told our parents I was trying to sabotage her future. And then came the final blow. You're dead to me, she shrieked before hanging up. For the next 2 years, she kept her word. Complete silence. My parents, of course, took her side. They called me, disappointed, saying, you know how she is, you should have just supported your sister. I was the bad guy for not funding goat yoga. So, I just dropped the rope. No calls, no texts. Honestly, it was pretty peaceful. Then, 2 weeks ago, my phone rings at 2 a.m. It's a number I don't recognize. I answer, and all I hear is this gut-wrenching sobbing. It's Chloe. Alex? I am sorry to call. I didn't know who else to turn to, she choked out. My blood ran cold. I hadn't heard her voice in 2 years, and this was not the Chloe I knew. This was raw terror. She told me Mark was abusive. That the perfect life I saw on social media was a complete facade. She said he was controlling, that he monitored her calls, her spending, everything. And then she dropped the bomb. He hit me, she whispered, her voice cracking. He threw me against a wall because dinner was cold. I'm so scared, Alex. He's not who I thought he was. She said she had to get out, but he had all the money. She couldn't go to our parents, who live in Florida, because Mark had business partners there and he'd find her in a second. She needed to come to me, to my city, where he wouldn't think to look. She just needed a place to hide and figure things out. I mean, what do you do? Part of my brain, the logical part, was screaming, asterisk, remember the goat yoga. It's a trap, asterisk, but the other part, the older sister part, just heard the sheer panic in her voice. What if she was telling the truth? Could I live with myself if something happened to her because I was still mad about a stupid fight? Of course I couldn't. Okay, Chloe, I said, my own voice trembling a little. Come here. I'll send you the money for a bus ticket. Just be safe. The next day, she showed up at my door, and my heart just broke. She looked like a ghost. She was wearing cheap sweatpants and a hoodie, her normally perfect hair was a mess, and she was clutching a single, small duffel bag. And on her arm, peeking out from her sleeve, was a nasty-looking, purplish bruise. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing about how she had to sneak out in the middle of the night with nothing but the clothes on her back. I felt like the world's biggest jerk for ever doubting her. I immediately went into protective mode. I set her up in my guest room, cooked her a meal, and told her to rest. I went out and bought her toiletries, pajamas, and a few changes of clothes on my credit card. For the first couple of days, she was the perfect victim. She barely left the guest room, she spoke in whispers, and she jumped every time the phone rang. I was walking on eggshells, trying to do everything I could to make her feel safe. But then, things started to get weird. The transition was subtle. After about a week, the traumatized, whispering Chloe started to fade, and the golden child began to emerge. It started with food. "Alex, I know you're trying to help," she said one evening, pushing the spaghetti I'd made around her plate. "But my stomach is just in knots from the trauma. I think I could only handle that salmon from the fancy organic market. And maybe some of that imported cheese." Okay, fine. Stress affects people differently. I bought the $12 a pound salmon. Then it was skincare. "The stress is destroying my skin," she'd sigh, looking at herself in the mirror. "I saw this La Mer cream online. The reviews say it's basically a miracle for trauma-induced acne." For those who don't know, La Mer is not just cream, it's a car payment in a jar. But again, I caved. I thought, if it makes her feel better, what's a few $100s? She wasn't helping around the apartment at all. Dishes would pile up, her room was a mess of new clothes I'd bought her, but I kept telling myself, asterisk, she's been through hell. Give her a break, asterisk. The first major red flag was a phone call. She was supposed to be in hiding, terrified that Mark would find her. But one afternoon, I was working from home in my office, and I heard her in the living room, talking on the phone. And she was laughing. Not just a little chuckle, but a full-on, carefree giggle. I walked out, and the second she saw me, her face changed. The smile vanished, her eyes welled up with tears. "Who is that?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. "Oh," she sniffled, wiping a fake tear. That was a counselor from a domestic abuse hotline. She was just telling me a funny story to cheer me up. It was the worst lie I'd ever heard. A hotline counselor isn't going to be sharing stand-up material. But I let it go. What could I say? My parents were calling me daily, not to see how I was, but to check on their precious Chloe. "Are you taking good care of your sister?" my mother would ask. "She needs you right now. Don't be selfish, Alex. Whatever she needs, you give it to her. She's so fragile." They even suggested I take a leave of absence from work to care for her full-time. The pressure was insane. The breaking point for me began to build about a week ago. I came home from work early, and the apartment was quiet. I walked towards the guest room to check on her, and I found her in my bedroom. She was standing in front of my full-length mirror, wearing my favorite dress, a pair of my heels, and my most expensive handbag. She was posing, taking selfies, smiling and pouting at her reflection like she was on a photo shoot. She looked radiant, happy, and completely untraumatized. The moment she saw me in the reflection, it was like a switch flipped. Her face crumpled. She burst into tears, sinking to the floor. "I'm so sorry," she wailed. "I just wanted to feel pretty for a minute. To feel like my old self before he destroyed me." It was a masterful performance. But for the first time, I didn't feel pity. I felt annoyed. It was all just too much. The constant drama, the expenses, the lies. My apartment had turned into a stage for the Chloe show, and I was getting tired of being the audience, the crew, and the financial backer. And then I got the email. It was from Mark. The subject line was just Chloe. My heart pounded as I opened it. I was expecting threats, anger, a lawsuit. Instead, the email was calm, lucid, and desperate. "Alex," it read. "I know we haven't spoken much, but I'm reaching out because I'm terrified. Chloe disappeared 2 weeks ago. She's not answering her phone. I have no idea where she is. I was hoping you might have heard from her. I filed a missing persons report, and I've attached a copy." He went on. "I know she has told you I'm some kind of monster. Please, you have to understand. Chloe has struggled with her mental health for years. When she goes off her medication, she becomes paranoid and incredibly impulsive. We had a fight before she left, a stupid argument about her spending. She has a shopping addiction, Alex. Before she disappeared, she emptied our joint savings account of over $150, a 000, and maxed out 3 of my credit cards. I don't even care about the money. I just want to know that she's safe. If you know anything, please, just let me know she's okay." I stared at the screen. Attached was the official police report, filed the day after she'd arrived at my place. His story, the money, her sudden need for luxury goods, it all clicked into place with a horrifying, sickening snap. The bruise on her arm? She'd told me he'd thrown her against a wall. But now I remembered her telling me years ago how easily she bruised. A single bump against a table would leave a mark. And her escape bag? If he was so controlling, how did she manage to orchestrate a six-figure bank heist on her way out the door? I felt like an idiot. The biggest idiot in the world. She wasn't a victim. She was a con artist, and I was her mark. That night, I waited until I heard the shower running. My heart was a block of ice in my chest. I walked into the guest room, my hands shaking. I went straight for the duffel bag she'd arrived with, tucked away in the corner of the closet. It felt heavier than it should. I unzipped it. And that's when I saw it. The receipt. The plane tickets. My vision went red. It wasn't just a scam. It was a meticulously planned heist. And the second ticket wasn't for her to escape alone. The name on the ticket next to hers was Chad Peterson. She wasn't running from a husband. She was running to a boyfriend with a suitcase full of stolen cash. I didn't confront her. Not yet. The rage I felt was so cold and clear, it was almost peaceful. I took out my phone and I took pictures of everything. The receipt, the tickets, the contents of the bag. Then I sent them all in a single, tidy email to Mark. The subject line was, "I found your wife. And your money." The final showdown happened the next evening. I knew my parents were scheduled to have their weekly video call with Chloe. I made sure I was there. I sat on the sofa next to her, my face a perfect mask of calm. The call connected, and my parents' worried faces appeared on the screen. "Chloe, sweetie, how are you holding up?" my mom asked, her voice dripping with sympathy. "Oh, it's so hard," Chloe said, turning on the tears right on cue. "But Alex is taking such good care of me. I'm thinking about hiring a lawyer, Mom. I need to file for divorce and make sure that monster can never hurt me or another woman again." "That's right, honey," my dad chimed in. "You take him for every penny he's worth. We support you 100%. I let them go on for a few more minutes, soaking in the syrupy sweet validation. Then I leaned forward into the camera's view. "That's a great idea, Chloe," I said, my voice dangerously pleasant. "Speaking of pennies, I have a question. Since Mark is so abusive and controls all the money, how exactly did you afford this?" I held up the crystal-clear photo of the $30,000 jewelry receipt to the camera. The screen went silent. Chloe's face froze, the tears instantly drying up. My parents stared, confused. "And Chloe," I continued, my voice as sharp as glass. "For someone so terrified of being found, you were pretty brave to book these first-class tickets to the Maldives. It looks amazing. By the way, who's Chad?" I held up the picture of the plane tickets. Chloe's face went from white to red in a split second. The victim mask shattered, and behind it was the raging, entitled brat I knew so well. "You went through my things?" she shrieked, lunging at me. I just held up my phone, out of her reach. "Mom, Dad," I said, ignoring my sister's tantrum and speaking directly to the screen. "Let me fill you in. Your abused daughter here drained her husband's bank accounts of over $150,000 before she ran away to her secret boyfriend. Mark has already filed a police report for grand larceny. She didn't come here for safety. She came here to hide from the consequences." My parents were speechless, their mouths hanging open. Chloe was screaming now, a stream of curses and insults. She called me a jealous bitch, said I'd ruined her life, that I could never stand to see her have anything nice. I just looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I felt nothing. No anger, no pity. Just nothing. "It's over, Chloe," I said calmly. "You have 1 hour to pack your designer clothes, your stolen bracelet, and get out of my apartment. Your boyfriend Chad can come pick you up. If you are not gone in 60 minutes, I'm giving the police the address and turning over my security camera footage of you arriving here 2 weeks ago." She stared at me, her eyes wide with hate. She knew I meant it. She knew the game was up. She left within the hour, dragging her suitcases behind her, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. The silence she left behind was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. Mark was, as you can imagine, eternally grateful. He used the evidence I provided to file for divorce on the grounds of adultery and massive financial fraud. Chloe got nothing. Not a single dime. In fact, last I heard, she and loverboy Chad are being investigated for interstate wire fraud. My parents? Well, they blew up my phone for a week. Not to apologize, but to tell me how I had betrayed my own sister. How could I be so cruel? How could I choose a stranger over family? I listened to one voicemail where my mother was sobbing about how Chloe was now truly a victim because of me. I didn't respond. I just blocked their numbers. All of them. So yeah, my sister, the golden child, finally crash-landed hard. I hear from a cousin she and Chad are drowning in legal fees and pointing fingers at each other. As for my parents, I haven't spoken to them in 6 months and honestly, it's been the most peaceful 6 months of my adult life. I finally realized you can't choose your family, but you can choose to stop letting them make you a supporting character in their circus. If you want to hear more stories about dodging family drama, make sure you hit that subscribe button because the story of how my cousin tried to steal my inheritance is even crazier.